Welcome to the Uncool podcast. I'm Elizabeth Jacadis, and today I'm talking to the band Lunde. We've got Nate and Jeremiah here.
Howdy.
Hey guys, thanks so much for being on.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, how are you both doing?
We're doing pretty good. How you doing, Nate?
Good, just enjoying the warm fall weather, I guess.
Getting over a cold, I
Yeah, I was
hear.
I was sick earlier this week, doing a lot of traveling, and then I came home and I was just so now I'm feeling a little bit better.
I've been hearing loads of that, like COVID going around, and it's brutal when you get like the seasonal illnesses popping up, but it's still 90 degrees outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, and super humid.
It's just not
I've
right.
been struggling with the humidity here. It's just nuts. It's too much. It's inhuman.
It's too much. Are you guys in Kenosha,
Yeah. Yeah, we're at our
Wisconsin?
new
Yep.
studio here, which is an old church built in 1912 that we're converting into a recording studio. So we're almost finished with it, but
Amazing.
we got a rehearsal set up today, so we were doing some practicing.
Very cool. Well, first, so Nate, you're like lead vocals in the band, right?
Yeah.
And Jeremiah's
Yep.
drummer. And we're missing Josh.
We're missing Josh.
Plays
He plays
bass.
bass.
So, okay. Three-man band, and Jeremiah, is it your studio? Are you all in on this studio thing?
I mean, we're all tied up in it in some, in some way. I'm the
Fair enough.
I'm the recording guy. I'm the tech guy. So these guys are into
Okay.
recording in a different way. But I mean, we do a lot of stuff together, and there's a lot of work to be done. So they're always over helping.
Okay. That's a huge undertaking. We bought a church,
Yeah.
converted it.
Yeah. It's barely set in because I bought it in March. And I've just been working on it since, and it seems like there's so much to do. But at the same time, I mean, we're gonna have another record to do here coming up, so just trying to get it done as soon as possible. See the finish line. So,
Nice. Another Lund record.
well, yeah, we're always working on
Yeah.
stuff. We love to record,
Yeah.
so
Fair
we got
enough.
the itch.
Yeah. Well, let's take it from the top. What's the band origin story?
All right, Nate, you take this one.
Um I guess the start would be I think 2018 or 19 we were on like a family reunion.
We're cousins, by the way. I
Yeah,
should
we're
say.
cousins, I suppose. We should lead off with that. But I know Jeremiah's always been into drums and recording and stuff, so as like a little side thing for just myself, I like wrote songs and made little garage band demos. So Jeremiah was just kind of like prodding me and snooping around and asking, what I got or if it's any good. And then I showed him some, and then it just kind of like that was the basis for it, I guess. And I don't think going into it we were planning on like committing to a full project or kind of like doing shows and recording a whole bunch. It was kind of just like a song by song thing at first. And then that kind of turned into what the first record ended up being.
Yeah, I was just looking for anybody to record because I was starting to get interested in recording. And I'd played in some bands and stuff, but yeah, I just was looking for some means to sort of like work on that, on my technique with that. And so it kind of started in a way as like a recording project. And then, we just discovered we liked playing together a lot, and it kind of went from there.
Amazing. What's the process of like, kind of landing on a sound then for what you're making together? Like, did that just happen immediately? It was sort of already what Nate was working on, or?
I don't know. I mean, I think you're kind of like, you're an acoustic guitar in a song kind of guy. And I'm super into the record, the sort of full production, like how can it be played with the band and arranged and everything. So I think we kind of naturally just I picked up where you left off with
Yeah.
the songs. I mean, it hasn't changed much really since like
No.
the first time we started working on stuff, really.
Cool. Was there like a first song that was kind of like, oh, this is working. This is going to be good?
Um
That's a good question.
I don't there was a
Oh,
first song, but I don't know if it was like working right away. I feel like we did a lot of versions of like a couple different songs just trying to figure out what was working for us or just kind of figuring out the whole recording process in general. That was my first time like being in a band or doing anything like that. So I just kind of let Jeremiah lead and then just be a yes man, in a sort
Well,
of way.
I mean, that was my first record too. Living Strange, the record we put out in 2020, was the first album that I had like produced and recorded, like full album. I'd done some tracks, but that was the first one we recorded and put out. So we kind of like learned and grew in that process. And yeah, there were a couple songs that we recorded maybe like 3 or 4 times because we just like weren't happy or we couldn't get the resolve we were looking for, you know.
Yeah. Um, yeah, when was checking you guys out more and going a little deeper, I felt like Deja Vu was a song that I had already heard.
Yeah.
And did it get like some social media traction?
Yeah, a little bit. The new version, but so again, like that one, we have like a bad habit of, of doing this. Like we recorded that one in 2020 on the first record, and then this time around when we were recording the last batch of songs, we just like it was really bothering us because we felt like it was a good song, but the recording wasn't good. So we re-recorded it. So there's 2 versions out there, and we did a bunch of social media videos and things for it. And yeah, it got decent traction, and it's our most streamed song, which doesn't mean a lot, but
Yeah, yeah. I love it. It's good. And yeah, I caught that there was when I dug deeper, I found that earlier version, and I mean, the recording sounded all right too. But
well, thanks.
was there like, other than just trying to, I don't know, capture a cleaner sound, were there other changes you made?
Yeah, like arrangement changes mostly. The song's the same, but I mean, we played that song for I think like it was like 4 years or so, three or
At
four years
least, yeah.
since till we recorded the new one, and so I had just kind of like worked out a new sound in my head. I kind of like heard how the arrangement was going to change and the parts were going to be different and a little more poppy and a little punchier. And I don't know, it went from kind of being like a somersault, like indie thing we were trying to do originally to then being more of like a something inspired by like America or more like 70s rock. And that's kind of like the sound we've been moving more towards.
Sure. Yeah, I was gonna say that's what you've settled into on this latest record, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Mm. Um, I mean, I always think it's interesting to talk about sort of studio stuff, the recording process. Since I'm not a musician, I don't know the ins and outs of it, obviously, but I think in particular, years ago, my brother's a musician, and he had a book laying around by the one of the Beatles sound engineers,
Yeah.
Jeff Emmerich, I think. The book's, yeah, Here, There, and Everywhere, and I I think I started skimming it. Just I'm a big Beatles fan, and didn't expect to get as into that book as I did, and just that was a guy who like started with the Beatles. I think maybe in their first album. Are you familiar with this book? I see you nodding a bit. Or with Jeff
Have you
Emmerich
read the
anyway.
book?
I haven't read the book, but I know who Jeff Emmerich is.
Yeah, we're both big Beatles
Yeah,
fans.
sure. Um yeah, it's been a while since I've looked at it, but I think he was like 17, and he, started working at the studio when they were recording like Meet the Beatles, and then got to stay with them through into the White Album maybe.
Yeah.
So obviously what they're doing in the studio, like really dramatic change over that time, and just had the wildest stories about like John telling them, make me sound like the Dalai Lama singing on a mountaintop, and they're like, uh trying to figure out how to do that for him. Um but yeah, I think it's so cool to kind of it reading that sort of thing has trained me, I think, a little bit to learn how to listen to music and notice things about the balance, or um I don't know, effects on vocals, or
Yeah.
just sounds you don't recognize, and you try to figure out, what instrument that came from.
Well, I was listening to this interview with John Fogerty last night where he talks about um there's like different approaches to songwriting, and his is more of the mindset of like, since he was growing up in the sort of the birth of rock and roll with Elvis and Chuck Berry and everybody, um, that music, it was sort of about the song, but it was more about like what he called the record, like I kind of mentioned. And what what that is just kind of like the complete sort of identity of that recording, from the attitude or the arrangement or production decisions that the musicians are actually playing differently, or sounds or effects, um, or the key they're doing it, and just like all of these variables coming together. And then it wasn't until oh shoot, did my camera cut out? We back?
Really good. The
Sorry.
quality will sometimes go a little wonky, but then it ends up looking good at the end.
Okay, are we good? Oh god, that looks so
We're good.
bad.
We
Carry
are
on.
deep fried right
We are
now.
deep fried. Hopefully the audio sounds okay at least. Um uh
Sometimes the video ends up looking better than it shows here,
okay,
so
cool.
don't
Okay,
worry.
cool.
But
But yeah, like just the sort of like all of the pieces coming together are what like makes those early records so identifiable. And that's kind of like how I feel even about stuff from the 60s and 70s and on. Like there's a lot of stylistic choices that sort of contribute to this overall kind of picture of like what you remember being so great about those records. And that's kind of like what I'm trying to capture on my end of it. And then I don't do any of the writing. Nate does all the writing, so he takes all the credit for making the actual song great. But that's like kind of how our partnership operates.
cool. Yeah, and I think we sort of tend to think about songwriting when you think about how a song came to be, but it's really neat to think about the way we've for the songs that we really love. It's a single take, a single recording that and you know exactly what happens to the vocal in that take, and it would have been different on a different take. And yeah, sometimes I think I forget that it's kind of capturing a moment in time and choices that were made
Yeah,
that
there's
day,
so many different elements to it. But like some of the greatest, yeah, like recordings just kind of captured all of those elements right together. So over time, I've tried to attune myself more to like what those elements are. And it's been fun learning about like, yeah, not just the engineering side of the recording process, which is people maybe notice first, like, maybe a vocal effect or reverb or things that are kind of prominent. But you can go further than that. Like, yeah, like how do we set up the musicians in the room? Like, how are we actually going about recording? Like the most recent record we did it a different way, which in the past we've kind of like multi-tracked everything. So go from like, maybe a drum track, and then we think about the bass. How do we want the bass to sound, and kind of like really layer everything up. But the most recent record, then we did it a totally different way, where we all set up in one room as a band sort of and played live together. And that was just capturing kind of a different feel. But it's been cool. Like I've started to learn a bit more of like what actually makes these sounds that I think are so great, because sometimes it's not exactly the thing you'd think.
Sure. Yeah, I can see how it's an art form to capture it in the moment the way you want to, and then like I don't know, post-production things you can do. Um when Steve Albini passed away recently, I was reading some of the obituaries about him. And yeah, they said that he didn't, famously didn't take all that much money from Nirvana for recording them, that he described himself as a plumber. And you'd probably understand why better than I do. Like, was his goal, if was it to just set a band up live and capture their sound? And so he wasn't uh, approaching recording quite as much like an artist as some producers do?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I don't know. I think I almost just feel like he didn't give himself enough credit for the contribution that he was making. I don't think he really understood like
Sure.
what his contribution to it was. But different people have different takes on it. Some people do believe that like the song is the only thing that matters in the arrangement, and the engineering side is really just like capturing what's going on. But maybe I'm just more sentimental about it. I just feel like yeah, certain songs that I love, and the sound around them, it's all like part of this greater picture for me that makes me like fall in love with the record. So yeah, it is like more of an art form for me at least.
Yeah. Um, something I read, I don't know if it was on your website somewhere. It made me wonder, like, are you guys recording to tape
Yeah,
instead of like doing digital
yeah, we
recordings?
are. That
Is that very common at all now?
I don't know. I don't think as not I wouldn't say common. I think it's more of like a novelty
Mm.
thing. I mean, people are doing it, but yeah, most people like you probably know have just digital home setups. Oh, my camera's completely gone. Let's see
I
if
lost
it'll
you guys totally.
oh no.
Maybe we can get you back. Let's see. The important thing is I can still hear you, so
Okay,
that
that's
part's
good.
just fine.
That's good. Okay.
This is why we make music and not movies.
Yeah, seriously. Should we wait for it?
Yeah, maybe we can give it a minute.
Okay, let's go. Do you see something?
Yes.
Okay.
There we go. Back in business, I
Okay,
think.
good. Okay,
Thank you. Thanks for.
we're back. The
I think that should be
computer,
good.
so maybe that'll be good. We were talking about tape. That's what we were talking about tape machines.
Oh, you're
You're
right.
getting me started on a long tangent that you're not going to be interested in.
I don't know. I think maybe you should go for it.
Okay.
Yeah, let's
Um
have it.
okay, so you were asking me, is tape common? And the answer is no. Most people are recording digitally, like in their home studios to a computer. It's very expensive to do tape nowadays because like the actual materials are like rare. Like let's see if I don't even know, I might have tape somewhere, but yeah, we're using like 2-inch tape which has 24 channels on it, and that's all you get. You can't record anymore. Um, so like our friend Patrick Martin, who you interviewed, would be like freaking out because he records like 100 vocals on top of each other. Um, but yeah, so it was a thing that we really wanted to try because obviously like all of the old recordings were done on tape and we love those records, and it's a huge like workflow change because there's just a lot of things you can't do on it. But there is like also a simplicity to it. It's like an old car or something. It's mechanical. It works one way. And if you want to go from the start, you have to rewind. It's like a VHS tape. So in the studio, when we were working on the new record, we had our tape machine and we had our recording console, and we were set up in the room, and we kind of just went till we got like a good take. And if part of the take wasn't good, then we would just like erase everything and go back and like do it till it was right, basically. But it was a cool process, and the sound is like totally different. It's a totally different sound.
Okay. Um, I mean, you would think like well suited to the style of music you guys are making, right? Like trying to kind of capture a bit of that um retro 70s rock vibe.
Yeah, I'm always like emulating that sound in the computer with my plugins. So it's just so much better to have the real thing.
Sure, sure. Are there any I don't know, any moments in the studio that you kind of like, I don't know, little gems on one of the tracks that you think, oh, listeners might not hear that, but that was kind of special to you guys?
I don't even know. I feel like
Yeah.
we were just trying so hard to get like good takes where if something like that did happen, I don't know if any of us were like consciously
Yeah.
listening for it. So maybe we need to
Yeah.
listen to our own stuff a little more closely.
But they're
Is it higher pressure recording to tape?
yeah.
And in the moment, it feels like
Yeah.
it, but then you either get it or you don't, which is nice. So then you just if you don't, you just start it again, and hopefully you feel good about how it turns out.
There are like some
Yeah.
there are some little moments that we kind of like picked up. Like when we had Harry in, who's a friend of ours who's like this super old school producer from Chicago, and he was in helping us with the tape machine, getting it working because um they don't make tape machines anymore, so they're all really old and they need like service, and somebody has to go fix them when they break. So he was in and helping us out, and we I just had like the forethought to record the audio from like his talkback mic. So there's some throughout the record, the new record, there's like some moments of him like talking in there and different like studio banter and things, which I always think is cool.
Totally. Um, yeah. So is he the person who speaks at the very beginning of Dinosaur
Yeah.
Song?
Yeah. And it
Um,
was take
yeah,
four, I think. It was take four that we used.
nice. Um, yeah, so that's coming out this Friday, October 3rd,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
But I kind of caught a little exclusive listen on what Radio
Radio
Milwaukee's
Milwaukee
website or
889.
something.
Yep.
Nice. Um, yeah, I love it. Very cool song. So Nate, you do all the songwriting.
Yeah,
It
pretty
was said
much.
earlier, right?
Mostly, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, how do you go about that usually? Are you like a lyrics first, melody first
It,
kind of writer?
it's almost never lyrics first, because then I feel like I almost get boxed in by whatever I'm trying to write or trying to get to sound cool. So for me, it's usually just like a spur of the moment. Like I'm just kind of messing around on a guitar with some chords, and then I'll just sing a line out of nowhere, and then I'm like, well, that sounds good, and then I just try to roll it off of that usually, or try to like stick with that feeling as close as I can.
Sure, sure. Um, how kind of completely prepared do you feel like the music has to be before you go into the studio?
For me to feel like totally comfortable, I need to have like pretty much start to finish the structure and the words. And then I try not to get too wrapped up in like the bass or like whatever the sounds are going to be or the arrangement. As long as we got the like the skeletal structure, I feel pretty good about it, because the rest of the band is usually pretty good about filling in the cracks and like making it a real song.
Making it a record.
Sure,
Yeah,
sure.
making it a record.
I like that distinction between, yeah, the bare bones of a song and then all the stuff that gets added on in the studio that makes it a record. Do you have a you know, do you have a sense of like the best way to listen to a completed track to, I don't know, the first time you're checking it out? Like, is it good to hear it in the car? Do you like hearing it in headphones on the street?
I like I like to hear it in my car. Yeah. My
Mm.
2007 Toyota Highlander specifically has like a sound system that I'm very attuned to. It's not like the best sound system, but I
Mm-hmm.
kind of like know what's coming out of it, you know. But I like to play it on my
Sure.
phone too. I am like not an AirPods guy. For no specific reason. I just like don't have any headphones that are accessible to use like on a phone. So I pretty much mix stuff in the studio, and then it's my car or my iPhone speaker, and that's like where I do most of the work.
Okay. Yeah. Um, I feel like, I mean, I guess it's just the difference for me mainly between headphones in or yeah, hearing it through a speaker at home or a speaker in the car. And you do catch different things.
Yeah, for
You listen
sure.
to it different ways.
I know
Yeah.
headphones are definitely like my favorite way to experience music. Just because like yeah,
Yeah.
you can hear all the details, subtle things happening in the background that you can't on other systems.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, I've heard different musicians talk about like, oh, it's got to sound good in a car, though.
Yeah.
Which again, I would think like the style you're working in, like in that sort of 70s rock vibe, like made to hear in a car, driving through cornfields, ideally.
Yeah, well, it's a thing about like zooming in versus zooming out. Like a, you can really zoom out in a car because the system usually isn't very good or very dynamic. So you kind of, it's like same thing with like an iPhone. Like if it sounds good on an iPhone, you know at least the kind of the overall balance is right. Like, can you hear the bass guitar at all? Can you hear like these little elements you dropped in on the right or left speaker that aren't going to be coming out the same way on like a car speaker or a phone? But then like headphones, you can zoom in and you can see like, that one little thing that I put in the background. Like, is that in the right place spatially, like left to right and things? So usually like in the mixing process it's usually the mixing process where you are concerned with these things. But usually you just want to hear it on as many different references as you can, because it's kind of like a puzzle. It puts together the total picture of what you're working on.
Sure, sure. Um, yeah, speaking about that, I've had a frustrating experience with left right audio recently. I've got like one of those suitcase style
Yeah.
turntables over there. From I think like the mid 70s, and it wasn't working properly, and it was my mom's, and I it's hard to find somebody who knows how to repair those. And so I ended up finding a guy who's like outside Detroit, and he said I could mail it to him, which wasn't a cheap thing to do, but I did, thought it would be worth it. And he sent it back to me, and it got like messed up in transit, I think. And he's like, oh, he felt bad about it, and he said, I'll get it working again. And what if we like meet in the middle and we both drive to like Kalamazoo and do a handoff? So did that, and it seemed good when I got it back home that last time. But now again, sound's only coming out of one of the speakers, and I'm like, oh, this
Oh,
darn thing.
that
Um,
sucks. There's so many things it could be too on the old equipment. You just never know.
yeah, when you were talking about working with tape and those recording systems, like needing somebody to repair it if something
We
goes
had
wrong.
a hell of a time getting up and running on the session that we did. Like the first, so we had like a pre-production day, which was I came in with our tech and well, two of our techs, and we set everything up and kind of set all the mics up and got running. And it was probably like an 8 or 10 hour day of just like fiddling with things, trying to get stuff to work, because like this cable's not working, so we have to like repatch it over here, and kind of just doing this whole puzzle to get like all of the channels to actually function. And then the first probably like 3/4 of the second day, when we actually showed up to record, we're also just like chasing down all these issues with the machine. So much so that our tape operator ended up quitting. He just said, "Screw this. This is too much for me," and he left. And so that's when we called up Harry, and like luckily enough on the third day, he was available to come down, and he totally saved our ass because he worked throughout the 70s and 80s and 90s on tape machines. So he knows every machine, every model, and what can go wrong and what
Nice.
issues. So we limped through the end of the recording session. But it is weird, like
Mhm.
a distinction I noticed with the tape was like, whereas maybe on digital you're getting set up and you're thinking about what to play and whatever, the tape is like there's a lot of time that you're just waiting for this stuff to be ready, or for them to clear the tape or like rewind or whatever, and then like it's just like go, and then you have like kind of one shot to do it, and then you sit around and you wait. It's like touring or something. You're just kind of sitting in the van driving, and then it's like showtime, and you have to kind of give it everything you can. But in a way, you're not. For me, like, then I didn't think very much about the performance other than it needs to be good. But
Sure. Yeah. As you're talking, I'm thinking like in the same way, I don't know, you get the sense that like some actors are, more theater people, more like into the art of acting, and some of them wanted to be movie stars, and like it's more about fame or something.
yeah,
Um like I think musicians, people already expect there's a bit of like fascination with gear, and it could be like instruments and pedals and stuff, or there's probably, clearly you guys are into the recording studio stuff. Um, yeah, and it seems interesting to me, but a lot of it is just like figuring out how to plug things in, yeah?
Yeah,
Like,
pretty much.
does it just like get massively
It's
frustrating
like half.
for like 50% of the time?
It's like half the job. I mean,
Yeah.
even you got to have your guitar, you got to have your pedals, you got to have the power supply for the pedals, the amp. The amp needs to work. The amp needs to be set a certain way. It's like half of the battle.
Gotta be in tune.
Yeah, we got to get the gear to and from the
Yeah.
gigs. Yeah, it is mostly
Right. Yeah.
logistics, especially with a band. Like if you're a solo artist maybe or something, and you just kind of bring your laptop and but yeah, if you're a band, there's a lot of
Mm.
pieces that you need to remember and make sure that they're working, and a lot of trips to Guitar Center.
Sure, sure. Yeah, it's like some of it sounds really interesting and like artistry, and then yeah, I'm realizing maybe there's a big chunk of it that's just logistics in an annoying way.
Yeah, that's pretty much most of it.
Mm.
Yeah.
But that's kind of is like how I mean, like I was saying about the tape. That's kind of how that was. It was like a lot of logistics, and then you have 4 minutes to play the song finally after an hour. And so
Mhm.
I don't know, but that is kind of like the the way we wanted the record to be. I think I kind of just wanted us to
Yeah.
relax and play naturally. Um, so the whole other stuff was more or less a distraction to get us to not think about it. And then by the time we actually had to record, it was kind of just what came out.
Sure. Um, yeah, you mentioned the other podcast episode I did with Patrick Martin. He brought up musicians like Mac DeMarco and Tame Impala, both of which are, back with new albums right now. And yeah, that kind of 2010s thing that was, I mean, I guess it's still common, but the idea of like a one man band where it's one guy recording all of it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I think
yeah.
and that was like a thought that I had going into the new recordings we did. And honestly, a thought I've always had, which is just like there's just a ton of one man bands in the music industry right now because it's just kind of like the easiest way forward in pop music. It's really easy to sell. There's only one personality, and you can have your brand be ultra cohesive and things of that nature. There's less like logistics. There's more money being funneled to one person to be able to survive and not split amongst multiple people. Um, but I mean, ultimately, we are a band. That's like what our working process is like. So I wanted the record to feel like you were getting the product that you came for, which is a band record, and I always feel like that with
Yeah.
the stuff we do. And then kind of like let the solo artists have their own space because that we're a rock and roll
Right.
band.
Yeah. Um, yeah. I I think that there's something that comes through probably in those recordings when you kind of, even if you don't realize it as a listener, something different about it being a little more of like a live thing that's been captured. Plus, then when you do it live, it actually can
Yeah,
sound pretty
yeah,
similar.
for sure.
um, well, you guys have a couple shows coming up, right? But I was looking at your website, and you've uh played on stages with Fountains of Wayne and Everclear, bands like that.
Yeah.
When was that?
Well, let's see. We've gotten the chance to do some great like opening slots over the past couple years. We've done some cool
Those are
shows
cool
at
bands to
like
have opened for.
Cactus Club. We played with Daniel Romano. We played with Baby Jake in Chicago, and we played Summerfest before Fountains of Wayne and Everclear this year, which was super awesome experience.
Yeah, that's a very cool band to have opened for. Um, I grew up like an hour north of Chicago, so as a teenager, it was always like uh, going as often to Milwaukee as to Chicago for concerts and stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
And so
yeah.
I work at Pabst Theater Group now too. I'm doing like
Hmm.
sound there on the side. So yeah, it's
Cool.
cool seeing like all the bands that come through Milwaukee. It's a good city to like see a concert, really. Like it's easy to get in and out of, and
Yeah, I don't know what goes into like the booking decisions, but I remember thinking that a lot of the rock bands I wanted to see, they were more often in Milwaukee than Chicago.
yeah. I don't know. That's a
Mm,
good question. I'm not sure why that is. But Summerfest has always been like
mm,
a huge thing just growing up in the area, you know. I went to it as a kid, so to get to play it this year was like
mhm.
dream come true. It was super cool.
Yeah, definitely. What are some of your favorite venues you've played at in either of these cities?
What's your favorite venue?
I like the Cactus Club, but I think that it just might be like at this point it feels pretty familiar. Like we just
We're about to play our 10th show there. Is our show
Nice.
coming up.
I like Shank Hall, even though it like maybe the crowd turnout wasn't what we hoped, but like just the space itself I kind of liked. But
I
Sure.
like the Hideout show a lot. We played the
oh
Hideout in
yeah.
Chicago and that was a great time. It was such a cool venue.
It is a cool little space. Yeah. Um, yeah, I've never been to the Cactus Club and I hear about it a lot. It seems like sort of maybe a bit of a Milwaukee equivalent to the Hideout, what I've heard,
Yeah,
like grittier,
definitely.
small
That's
room.
like a
Mhm.
pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. No, I think familiarity, I mean, even as a fan, I think there's sort of again, with I don't know how these booking choices go down, but I
Me
feel like
either.
I yeah, I end up, going to the same three venues over and over again in
Yeah.
Chicago, and I think it has to do with like the kind of music you like and just where those bands tend to
Oh,
circulate.
definitely. Yeah. Yeah, that plays into it a lot. Every venue has its own kind of like staple kind of music that they do more regularly.
Sure,
What's your
sure.
favorite venue in Chicago?
Oh, that's a good question. I think like the first one that started to feel really familiar to me was Lincoln Hall. So I
Yeah,
have like a soft spot for it, but you
that's the
know,
familiarity thing.
I went right, exactly. I think that plays into it. But I saw a show at the Metro, but it was like upstairs. There's a so it's the Metro's like across the street from Wrigley Field, and it's a iconic venue itself, but there's like an attic room upstairs, and it was pretty cool. It was like you had to go in through the bar next door and like up some rickety stairs, and apparently Guns N' Roses used that as a practice space in
Cool.
the 80s. So that was fun to kind of find those weird little, hidden spots.
That's awesome. Yeah, I have not been to the
Yeah,
Metro. We played Subterranean, which was really cool. That's a cool venue.
nice.
Also up a flight of
Yeah.
stairs. Most Chicago venues seem to have
Mm.
stairs involved, which is not good for load in.
Ah, yeah, making it brutal for that part
Yeah.
of it. That's funny. Um, do you feel like are you making the trek back and forth between Milwaukee and Chicago a fair bit?
Yeah, I am. I mean, I'm in Milwaukee all the
Yeah.
time, but we've had a lot more Chicago shows recently. We have one coming up in November at Reggie's, which will be fun. But
Very
yeah,
cool.
we're starting to warm up the engines, and we're going on tour in the spring, which will be great. Going up and down the East Coast,
Very exciting.
which we haven't announced yet, but yeah, we got this new record that we're feeling good about, and we're just like ready to get out and play shows and promote the hell out of it.
Awesome. Is that the record that's already out now?
The new one, the new record that's not out
Yes.
yet, but
Oh,
the
okay.
one that
So
dinosaur
I was thinking
song,
of Wisconsin's first.
yes, that
It's Okay,
That
so
record is
Wisconsin's
from
First
this year.
Band is out. Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say you've already got another one that's coming soon.
I just my mind's been on it, so I always just am thinking about the new record. But yeah, I suppose that one is new also.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome though that you already have another one in the works.
Well, we're trying to like
Mm.
reduce the amount of time that it takes us to finish the records because the Wisconsin's First Band one, when did we start that?
22,
Yeah, 2020, and it
23
came out
maybe.
in like 25.
Yeah.
So we're taking too long to record these records. I feel like back in the day
Well,
they'd put out like 3 records a year or something. Like how many records did the Beatles put out?
Yeah, like 2 a
Probably like
year.
two a year. So
I
we're
mean,
trying to
the
increase.
recording
yeah.
part isn't the really the time consuming for us. It's more of just like the either some overdubs or mixes or just kind of
We tend to drag our feet.
yeah, or like someone will get busy with
Mm.
like a really specific thing. So we'll be
Yeah.
like, okay, we'll let him kind of see this through, and then we'll start thinking about this again.
Sometimes it's even just like we'll have like the recent record, the one that's coming out in, coming up. We started that one in July of last year,
Yeah,
and the like 3/4 of the thing was probably finished in July.
yeah,
And
most
like
of it.
we took this whole time to
Mm.
just like put the little sprinkles on it. We got to work on that.
Okay, so it's not so much life getting in the way as like perfectionism or
Yeah,
both.
probably. Yeah. And just like feeling
Yeah.
like um the time will come when we'll have inspiration to like finish it, cuz when you
Mm.
do the basic tracks, I feel like you're like amping yourself up, and then by the time that like couple weeks is over, then you're like, I don't know what this stuff is anymore. I need to just like sit on it. And then sometimes we take a little longer than we should,
Right.
but I mean, so far it's worked out. We've gotten to the finish line, so we're just happy about that.
Right. Right. Um, yeah, it seems like there'd be a trick involved in sort of, I don't know, knowing when it's finished or just, I don't know, do you have to like set yourself a deadline and just say it's going to be done at this point? Because you could keep tinkering with it forever, right?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like that's what we've done finally. And yeah, sometimes it gets caught up just like in the mix process, but it is usually like a life related thing. We've been working on this space now. So that puts me at a weird in between because we were at our old studio and then I had to move my stuff home for a bit. So I had a speaker set up there, but wasn't quite happy with like the how the setup was. So then it's, I'm not quite feeling confident to like finish it. And then finally, yeah, I just had to say this thing's going to mastering on this date, so we need to get everything done by then. But yeah, there's like, I mean, us being completely DIY, we have no manager, no booking agent. It's us doing the writing, recording, and then also like the video. I produce all the videos or direct them, and I do all our social media stuff. So there's a lot of like planning and switching hats that is kind of like part of the
Yeah.
whole total process from like a song being written to a song being like promoted and getting to listeners. So yeah, it is a thought sometimes. Like that is like maybe part of the reason why things can take longer too, because it's now I got to take my producer hat off and put on my mixing hat, and then I gotta start planning out our promotion because all the things have to go to streaming and sync up and have videos ready, and yeah, it's a nightmare
Yeah, that's
sometimes.
like five. Yeah, that's like five full-time jobs,
Yeah.
right?
Well, that's what it's like being an artist now. There used to be people that sort of did some of those hats, but in a way it's nice though,
Right.
because you do get to sort of have your stamp on the whole thing as it comes out. So maybe it comes across as more authentic, but I don't know.
Mm, sure. Yeah. Um, yeah, you're not just at the whims of the marketing department of
Yeah.
a record company or
Yeah.
something, I guess. Yeah. Um, But yeah, to be doing all of that while trying to get this studio up and running is a lot as well.
Yep.
Um, it's cool that it's a church. Like, was that a choice because of like the acoustics of that space, or
No,
is
not
it just
really.
about it being a
I
large enough
Yeah,
building?
I was
Yeah,
just looking for any square box, honestly. Um,
fair enough.
so yeah, it could have been a house, it could have been a storefront or something. I just wanted a place where I could have my own setup and record and then eventually live in. So we're gonna have some like space in the basement where people can stay and I'll live there. And it just like happened to come up right by my house and it's a super good deal. And yeah, it was a really well taken care of old church, and it's a Methodist church, so it's more subtle. Like it's not like Catholic churches tend to be like the stained glass is like Jesus, like on the cross, and this is much more, much more like artistic feeling or kind of just relaxed. So, um, didn't require as
One ray of
much.
light.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of stained glass here and very tall ceilings, so the acoustics are really great in here. So, yeah, I think it's gonna be good.
Cool. Yeah, that seems like cool potential for I'm assuming you intend to, take on production product projects for other bands.
Yeah, for sure. I and
Mm.
also like recording is so expensive to begin with. It like my thought has always been I can only afford, this much to spend. So either I give that to somebody else or I just buy another piece of equipment and then, slowly over time I've ended
Mm.
up with a lot of equipment and more knowledge than I had before. So, yeah, now I feel fortunate that I can record our band at cost and then also do productions and stuff for other people. So, it's just another fun creative outlet.
Yeah, definitely. And that makes perfect sense that like you might as well kind of invest in yourself and this own your own project and business. It's becoming clearly. So
Yeah, well, everything's so
that's
expensive,
good.
so you got to find ways to kind of like
Yeah,
take on as many roles as you can, you know. So now, right
sure.
now, I started taking on the booking agent hat, which was a little scary because I don't know anything about being a booker. But also, I've done this kind of thing enough times where I start something totally new that I have no idea about, and then kind of just get a feel for it, start info dumping and learning, and then before you know it, you got the training wheels off, and you're like, oh, cool! Like actually doing this thing now at a somewhat high level. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a fun and more rewarding thing to do something yourself, I think, sometimes.
Do you feel kind of hopeful about like this is a huge question, I know, but like the music industry more broadly? And I feel like there were so many like local Chicago bands I followed pre-pandemic that didn't really make it through that time, or just I'm
Yeah.
not sure, I got harder to survive financially, or they spent a little more time at home and had to take on other work, and then it was like, why would I go back to um a tougher touring lifestyle when it doesn't really pay? Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, you talking about
definitely.
taking on all these different aspects. I mean, do you feel like it's still doable?
Yeah, it's definitely doable. I think, I mean, so I was in high school when COVID hit. So I feel like there's been a lot of sort of like challenges that have happened to my generation specifically. And I feel like I'm at this point, and I feel like we're all kind of at this point where it's like either you get really down about kind of like where we're at, in the music industry in our country. Like there's so many things people are telling you like things are bad right now, Live Nation and like things are bad. So you can either kind of let that get you down, or you can just figure out what are you looking at to like get out of this, and like how can you attempt to facilitate an environment or a situation where you can thrive in your own way, kind of regardless of like what sort of success you receive. So that's kind of like the path that I've chosen to take, and the studio and like the space and everything is kind of a part of that. Just trying to sort of like keep as many of the variables in our control as possible, so we can try to enjoy this, the process of making music and putting it out. And yeah, because like what's going to happen to the music industry, like who knows? I have no idea, and there's no point
Yeah.
in for me in trying to like chase any of these trends or like try to figure out how to like make it that way. So I think we're just trying to get like as good as we can at our thing, and then hopefully people over time will hear about it and listen to it. I mean, we think some of the stuff's okay.
Yeah, 20% of it's
Yeah.
listenable.
Yeah. Um I mean, yeah, it makes sense to me that that's the only thing you can do as musicians now is figure out how to make it work for you and roll with it. And I don't know, I picked up a book about, you know, Spotify musician. Of course, right now a lot of musicians are leaving Spotify, pulling their music off, and this book was talking about, different people that are trying to sort of start a musicians union and ways to just make the industry work better for the artists. But it seems like that's a thing that's going to take time and to see how it plays
I
out.
know. Yeah. And I don't know anything about any of that. Um, I I just like am thinking about the songs and the shows, and like all of that stuff's a bit over both of our heads.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I support anybody who's trying to make like some sort of positive impact, and if it seems like there's a way we can contribute to that, then I think we'd like to. But for now, we're just kind of trying to make good records and just like be ambitious, like
definitely.
push ourselves, and not sort of like think about what kind of music we think people will like or what will resonate, but more just like try to challenge ourselves to make the best music we can. And yeah, just like, I guess that's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, I think that's, the most admirable thing like up and coming musicians can be doing for the industry. And I kind of question why some of the like uh massively large artists aren't making more of a statement and
Yeah,
taking on
right.
some of these bigger issues, but
Well, there's so
maybe they
much,
will
yeah, I
in
mean,
time.
there's so much money floating around that it almost doesn't matter when you're at that level. I think when you're at like Taylor
Mm.
Swift level, I mean, you're making so much money. You don't want to sever. I would imagine you wouldn't want to sever like certain connections, because it's enough money to be happy with. It should be more, but it's.
Right. Well, oh yeah, definitely. I mean, she doesn't need to take a stand to um help her own career.
Yeah,
It would be really cool if she just, you
right.
know, used her position to stick it to Spotify. That would be great.
Yeah.
But
Well, it's like Jeff Bezos. I mean,
yeah.
Jeff Bezos could literally like solve world hunger if he wanted with his money, but there's not enough of like
Right.
a reason, I guess he probably feels, for him to do that. So for now, it's just
Right.
a couple of local musicians pulling their music from Spotify. But I mean, it starts a
Right.
conversation in like the community,
Yeah.
which I think is hugely important to like acknowledge that like this is an issue and there isn't enough money floating around.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I mean, I think you're right that those smaller musicians making those decisions can have an interesting effect. Get the conversation started. It would be really cool if big musicians did something. The cynical part of me sort of feels like it'll only change
Oh yeah.
uh, when a
Yeah.
problem comes
That's
of
right.
it.
And that's all that's
When
always how it is. Like revolution is always a little bloody. Um
right.
So yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know what that's gonna be. I'm a little fearful for what that's gonna be. Um,
Sure.
yeah, but I'm optimistic in like our own career. You know, I'm optimistic and excited that the opportunities will keep growing, and yeah, we'll just continue to have like more opportunities to be creative and to sort of like put our stuff out there and collaborate with different people. And that'll happen no matter what happens to Spotify and to, you know, the musicians' economy and stuff. Because as long as we can
Yeah.
make ends meet and then also keep on trucking, then that's like the only thing that matters to me.
Absolutely. Um, yeah, I think, any time I'm tempted to feel negative about the industry or feel like I don't know, too many are pandering to the market or something, I find cool bands like you guys, and I love that, it's a sound that's like familiar and, the kind of music I grew up with, but with its own spin on it. And I mean, gosh, this morning I was just like listening to more of your music, and which one was it? There was one song that I thought there's so much of your music has kind of a 70s vibe, and it was, well, Waiting on the War is a recent single that to me, is sort of different than some of your other stuff. Love sort of the slow build of that song and harmonica in it, and like that aspects of it sounding a little bit retro, but then it kind of had some unexpected studio effects thrown in. I love that. Do you know what I'm talking about?
That was
When I
so
say that,
fun to make. That was a ton of fun.
I don't
that's
even
cool.
nothing sticks out to me from doing that. It was just
Really?
another like let's
I
get something
guess.
done.
Yeah, I suppose. But we were
Huh.
like messing with the synth, remember?
Yeah,
We had
yeah, yeah.
Kyle's synth
Okay,
and
yeah.
our friend had like a synthesizer. So that was kind of like dictating the direction, I guess. But yeah, those were fun times. Like,
Okay.
do you remember that? We were in the studio across town and it was
Yeah.
winter. So like we would always be working late hours. So it was like kind of desolate. So we'd like go out to dinner or something and there was like nobody on the road and I don't know. That's like very nostalgic for me.
I think we knew too it wasn't like a typical song for us. Like in it just by itself there's really not much going on, so I think we kind of did have to do some more heavy lifting with filling it out and making it interesting or maybe different for us.
It was experimental. Yeah.
Cool. Um, yeah, and I just found it. The other one I was thinking of was Rare Form number 5.
Oh, nice.
Deep cut.
I love I um yeah, is like a little more kind of driving in its sound, and like I was trying to place it. I think I was thinking of like a Rolling Stone. Like there's the vocals like I don't know if it's even correct to say like a slight delay to it, like a
Yeah.
touch behind the
Yeah, yeah.
beat intentionally. Yeah. But like a little more punk than that. I mean, it wasn't entirely Dylan sounding. I was like, is the Clash coming through on this a little? It's a cool one.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head with that one. I guess conceptually when I was writing that, I was really into like the live Dylan stuff from the mid 60s, which was I think he just was kind of throwing
Sloppy.
yeah, he was just kind of throwing everything out there that he could. Just I don't know if he's going for reactions or just doing whatever he was doing, but it was really like abrasive and just face value, whatever it was. And I think that just like really spoke to me. And I've always been a huge Dylan fan, so like anytime I can maybe do like some impersonating or like live through that, I'll try to do it.
You were like you had a particular thing about that when we were recording it too. Like so we were staying in this like sort of Airbnb. It was like a little cabin in the middle of nowhere in Michigan. When we recorded like the basic tracks for that and we sort of just like set up our band setup and little equipment that we brought. And anyway, so we are kind of like locked in there and Nate like sort of demanded that we not record that one until the end of like the night, like whenever we did it,
Yeah,
because
like the very last thing.
yeah, you like wanted everybody to be like really tired and strung out
Yeah.
sounding.
Have that come through on the track.
Yeah. And then
That's cool.
when we were recording the vocals, because we did a couple takes and we like couldn't quite get it right. So we were working in this was after that we'd finished the basic tracks, and then we were in Beaver Dam, Wisconsin, where Nate's family is, and we were a lot of the records for a lot of the overdubs for that record, Wisconsin's First Band, were done in this like garage that was Nate's dad's kind of like, I don't know. He's got a couple classic cars up
Yeah,
there.
it's
Like
like
there's like
his
an
little
office.
man cave
Yeah.
separate from home.
So we did like a
Okay.
lot of the stuff in there, and I set Nate up in this like little office, and I might have like turned off all the lights or something, or I kind of like barricaded him in so you could kind of just like let loose.
It was like 5 in the morning too. It was like the
Yeah,
last thing we did. We were there all night, and then I think like 4 or 5 in the morning rolled around. We're like, all right, well, we're just gonna do it.
But
Get
Nate's
through
Nate's
this
very
last one.
shy. He needs to be in the right
Yeah, it takes me a
zone.
little bit to change gears or like to pony up to whatever I'm doing. But yeah, just like that little
Mhm.
separation, like the lights off, really, I guess helped me like get in character per se.
The character of
Mhm.
Nate
Yeah, whoever
or
that is.
Perry.
Yeah.
Nate's got this alter ego we call Perry, and it's like I don't know, how would you describe it?
I don't know. You guys have given me this title, so I don't.
No, you gave it to yourself. Well, we thought it was Nate's middle name was Perry for a while, which it's not at all. It's like what, Philip or something. But
Yeah.
anyway, so I think it was you decided that Perry was going to be your alter ego, which is just like the more boisterous and confident and
Yeah.
loud
Says yes
version
to doing things.
and has Riz.
Yeah, definitely.
I would think every frontman would probably need that alter ego.
Yeah, I mean, maybe some don't. I have no idea. I mean, Ozzy Osbourne seems to just be like that all
Yeah,
the
very
time.
himself.
Okay, well, fair enough. I think that might be a flaw. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
rest in peace, Ozzy. But like, for the best, maybe if you can. Well, I don't know.
If
Yeah,
you can like
depends on what kind
separate,
of
yeah,
energy is being brought
yeah.
on stage. But yeah, like if you're that person all the time, you're probably living a weird life.
Yeah, well, we're kind of like that too. We're all pretty like just Midwestern and kind of like more or less normal, but then on stage we kind of like have a lot of energy, sort of. But we're not
Um.
particularly crazy. Or maybe we
mm,
are, I don't know.
yeah. Is there a band that you think of when you think about like stage presence? What you're going for? Someone you model after?
I love the Who. And
Nice. Yeah.
I don't know who else. I'm the only one that thinks about it. I'm constantly trying to get these
Yeah,
guys to
if he
move.
wasn't kind of like
Mm.
chomping at our
I'm
heels,
always poking at you guys.
like for me, Oasis is ideal. They just stand there and like do their thing. They're not dancing around, but then when you're
Mhm.
actually up there doing it, you just kind of realize you're not doing anything. And then you start to just think about it more. So, like, I guess the more jumping around or like the wilder of a performance you can give, the less you're thinking about if you're doing it right or wrong.
Yeah.
You're just kind of living in a moment, which is nice, which I don't do a ton of.
I also just think like when I look around and everybody's moving, everybody seems to be smiling. You know, I
Yeah.
always tell the guys before we go on stage, like, do something unexpected tonight. Like, do something crazy that's going to throw me off and kind of like get me out of whatever, you know, because if the show's not fun, then I kind of just go to like, I'm thinking about other stuff. I'm thinking about the song, and you don't need to think about the song. You know, we've played these songs so many times. Like, we should all just be thinking about having fun. So that's like, yeah, that's what we try to do. But I love the Who, like Pete Townsend.
Yeah.
You know, I've been trying to get somebody forever to join the band and do windmills, but unsuccessfully so far.
um. Yeah. The stage stuff. I mean, it has to be just it's a whole nother skill set, right? And or like another hat to put on.
Yeah, I
Um,
feel like bands, that's like a lost art with bands. Like people don't have as much stage presence as they used to. Because I mean the
yeah.
environment of like live performance now is much more like people are using like tracks and stuff, which is the element of predictability is there. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, then you're into the song and it's all kind of mapped out how it's gonna go. But back in the day they used to just go on and like just whatever happens happens, like songs might get changed or just things
Sure.
happen and you sort of adapt and you play the songs differently each night a little bit, and that's always fun to me. I think that's like what rock is all about, is like having that element of unpredictability and kind of like you're seeing these people on stage and they're kind of like walking the tightrope, sort of like
Mhm.
if you move a little too much, you might miss a chord, or like there's just an element of tension there. And I always like to see that in any live performance that I watch. I want to see some kind of like something to like draw your attention. I don't know.
Yeah. Um, it's impressive when you see someone live and you think they sound really good, like being able to um recreate the sound or think on your feet and do something different with a song is cool, but it feels like n- not like completely um important to me that everything's perfectly on pitch,
Yeah.
you know? Like
I don't think you're paying attention. I mean, you got a beer in your
yeah,
hand,
no.
you're like standing amongst, you know, hundreds of people in a room where you couldn't hear those details anyway because it's like a theater or something, sounds bouncing around. But I mean, if because I like for my job, every day I see a show or like two or three performers. So I'm constantly kind of watching, especially at Vivarium in Milwaukee, the venue I work at. There's a lot of like up and coming bands that are coming through the venue. So you get to kind of see like where kind of like the music stuff is on my back. I was gone for a minute.
I think it caught up.
Say it just cut out for
Okay,
just a
good. All
second.
right.
Shoot.
We're good.
Okay, sorry, carry
Um,
on.
but you kind of get to see like what's happening with new music. And yeah, like music is like right now moving towards that kind of thing of like being computer based and very predictable. And um, it's sort of uncommon when where an artist will like grab my attention, but when they do, I know it right away and I'm kind of like locked into it, and I know that hey, this person's doing something that's like worth hearing. And I think yeah, like that's important because right now, yeah, it is hard to get people to come to shows and it's hard to get people to buy physical records and stuff. So if you're not putting your best foot forward and like making an effort for the audience, then like why would you expect them in this economy to make that effort back to you? Like you have to give them something in a live show because it's not the record. I mean, people are getting the record for free, so why would they pay to come and hear it? I don't know.
Right, right. Yeah. Um yeah, words like authenticity and all of that get massively overused, but it is something to do with that. I think in live performances, like like you guys both said that you um Nate mentioned just being present, being in the moment and just actually having fun with it, and I think that's what comes through and makes it fun for the audience.
Yeah, I mean, was there a process for you like in growing into that? Kind of like being a
Um,
performer, because it is kind of it's like a different thing being a songwriter or being like a musician as opposed to like being a performer. There's like a different, maybe a different skill set.
I think you just have to be willing to put certain things on the side, like just like either insecurities you have or I, I don't know. You just kind of like have to lock in, for lack of better words, or like realize that what you're doing is not what you're used to doing, and just kind of taking, whatever steps you can.
And like a bit of a risk maybe.
Yeah, like trying to,
Yeah.
like you said, surprising yourself, or I don't know, just going for, or either like deliberately going for someone that you're not. Like sometimes just trying to be something else can be
I,
fun.
I feel like you kind of like sometimes
Mhm.
if you do it enough, then you kind of grow into that. Like
Yeah,
it
and
becomes more
figures
natural.
what it is.
Yeah. But that
Yeah.
is like it's a way that you can grow, I think. Like as a musician even, or just a performer, like doing something that you don't feel comfortable doing, you kind of push yourself outside of your comfort zone, and then yeah, it teaches you something about yourself maybe, or
Yeah, like during a show, you can like pause and be like, "Oh, I got to do that part again," or like if you're recording, you can just
yeah.
stop what you're doing and start over. But there's like a you can like feel that the ball is rolling. Like you can't just
Yeah,
stop.
that's a good way
You
to
you
put
just
it.
have to like
Yeah,
keep your balance and try to like figure out how you're moving forward.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a good
Yeah.
point.
Um, I feel like I have no aspirations to be a performer, not someone good on stages necessarily, but I've had just little experiences of like that can be something that feels so daunting, but you kind of get into a mode. You can get up in front of people and um make yourself be comfortable with it. And yeah, I love what you said about just sort of taking on a different persona a little bit, and it does start to feel natural.
Now, I mean, the worst thing you could do for yourself is second guess yourself, and
Mm.
try to backtrack on something when you're on stage. Because like Nate said, yeah, like, the ball is rolling, and that 30 minutes or an hour, it like really flies by once you start going. So you have to adapt and feel confident. Like whatever happens, you can kind of make it a part of the show, because stuff happens all the time when you're performing live. It's a very unpredictable environment. You have this whole ecosystem of like people, like the bar, and how people are feeling that night and who the crowd is, and maybe you break a guitar string, maybe somebody plays a wrong chord, and these guys, Nate and Josh, are masters at this point of kind of like rolling with it, like instead of just going, oh, we're all off by one chord, I'm just going to keep playing what I'm supposed to play. You listen, and that's what being a band is about. You know each other, you listen
Mm.
to each other, so when somebody does something, you can pick up on it and you can respond to it, and kind of the whole unit rolls as one, as opposed to just like a couple people on stage doing their own thing.
Totally. Um, yeah. Yeah, I can imagine that it's tempting when you're new to like I don't know, react to something that feels like a mistake and pause and start over or whatever, but it's like the audience doesn't think anything of it
Yeah,
if
and
you just
you don't want to
carry
tell
on.
them.
Yeah.
You don't want to make a face. You don't want to. I mean, I don't know. Different people do this, and maybe as an audience member, it's different. But it always drives me nuts when people are like, "I totally messed up that last song. Like, I played the chord, so sorry."
Or like stopping and saying, "Oh, I forgot these words." Like I would rather just make something up on the
Yeah,
spot, and if it doesn't work, the next time I'll remember the words.
yeah, right. But the audience is
Yeah.
they might not know. They might just think the
Yeah.
song is different than it was before. Or if you play a wrong chord, they might just think that the sound guy messed something up. Like people aren't that. Yeah, I don't think people usually are like attuned to like what is the recording and what are they playing. Most people have never heard us before, so who cares?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a funny thing as an audience member, I think. It's like you're looking to the people on stage to tell you that everything's fine and you should be having fun and we should all
Yeah,
be comfortable and like you believe them if they make you if they if
yeah,
they act like it's all going smooth. You're like, "Okay, great." Yeah, it's when someone seems to panic on stage that then you feel
yeah.
weird
You're
about
like, should I be worried? Do I need to be on edge?
it. Right. Exactly.
Like there was a show a little while ago where Nate forgot his capo,
Oh yeah. It just
and
disappeared.
the capo is like a thing you put it on your guitar and it changes the sort of key that the guitar's in, so you can play chord shapes on a different spot in the neck, and Nate forgot that, and that's the only way like you know some of these songs. So like, what did you
Yeah.
do?
I like tried to fake my way through it because there wasn't time to look for a capo. So I said, "Oh well, we're starting this song whether I like it or not." And after maybe like 3 or 4 flubs, I could feel my face getting super red and just like it got really hot up there. I was like, okay, this is the one time I gotta break whatever's going on here. Does anyone have a capo? And luckily, the band we were opening for, one of them had an extra one and really bailed me out.
You need to go through those experiences as a musician, though, to understand why it's important to like double check your packing
Yeah.
before you leave. I've had so many of those experiences where it's just like, yeah, you forget something that is so crucial, like drumsticks, and you're like, does anybody have any drumsticks? And people are looking at you like you're a fucking
Yeah,
idiot.
isn't that the one job you had?
That's hilarious. Yeah, the capo thing. It's like those can't cost that much, right? Like,
Oh.
No,
I don't know how to play guitar, but there's one sitting right over the a capo on a shelf, so it's like, yeah, but I guess if there isn't one in the room, there isn't. So
that's right.
good thing somebody had one.
Yep. And yeah,
I,
I suppose
Yeah.
we've learned you haven't, forgotten your capo since that incident. So maybe it was a good thing.
and I think that might have like scarred me a little bit because since then I relearned some of these songs without a capo.
Just to be
Yeah,
prepared.
just so if shit does hit the fan, I have some sort of backdoor water slide I can get
To be
out of it.
prepped. What if your capo broke or something? Or
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
yeah, you never
It's
know.
little things that only strengthen you as a musician,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well, you can't be a good
Oh my gosh.
band if you can't adapt to certain circumstances. Like even like we don't use in-ears anymore. We just use
Mm,
wedges because I think I realized like it's probably better that we just try to figure out how to kind of like make our unit as tight as possible and then let everybody else do what they need to do. So like we don't need to have a good sound guy to play a good show. We can just balance
It helped
ourselves.
though.
It does help. Yeah, it absolutely does help.
mm.
But, we always
What are
balance.
wedges?
Wedges are like the speakers that are put up in front. Usually as a performer, you either have
Oh,
in-ears, which is like a wireless transmitter, headphones that uh, they can allow you to hear yourself a lot better and hear your vocal like really clear, but also they're harder to mix and there's more that can go wrong. There's more to set up. There's more you're expecting
yeah.
of like your venue. Whereas usually like most venues will have house speakers that they just kind of like throw across the stage and they're just like sending your vocal back to you. And that's like how bands did it
Okay.
before in-ears. So like, the people who played Woodstock, they had like no monitors. They didn't even have like wedges. Wedges didn't even exist. So they just like couldn't hear themselves, but they still played well. So it's like, why not just try to play well, not hearing yourself? And then if you get a great mix, you could play like 15% better.
Yeah.
But a lot of people now,
Mm,
like the in-ears thing is like so critical to them that if they fail, then it's like a big deal and they can't play the rest of the show, which I find to be problematic because of course they're going to break. It's like wireless plastic technology. Like there's so much that could go wrong
yeah.
there. There's so much that could go wrong if the sound guy turns down your vocal or your guitar, like, you know, your ears are plugged with these headphones so you can't hear what's going on stage. So
Yeah.
now we've kind of just like, okay, we're going to balance our amps on stage. We're going to just get those vocals come through the wedge and then we can more or less do our show. And then that's been a smoother smoother trajectory.
Sure. I never thought about that with like I didn't know there were, on-stage speakers that kind of could help you out. But yeah, I've seen enough like videos, I guess, of performances and, musicians like clearly looking off stage and like pointing to their ear and asking for the mix to be adjusted or
Yeah.
whatever. Um
So
so
I did
yeah.
a tour with this artist Baby Jake where I was playing drums last year, and or no, this was a couple years ago.
2 years.
2 years ago. And we used in-ears for the whole tour, and I realized pretty quickly, like, I was getting really fussy about the mix. It was like, can I have more kick drum, or like, can you make the kick drum sound different? Because it's like putting on headphones when you listen to music. It's like zooming out or zooming in kind of thing, like we talked about. And the in-ears the same way. Like, you get a really clear picture of what's going on stage to a level of detail that's almost can be unnerving, because if one thing goes wrong, you do hear it. You know, if one person plays something wrong, you hear it. Whereas if you got wedges going, you know, I can hear my drums. Everybody can hear their amps because they're coming off the speakers on the amps. So if your vocals are up, then that's all you need. And then you got the crowd right in front of you. You can hear the crowd. And short of having your own sound guy, it's a pretty easy way to just kind of sound good. But I always figure
Sure.
if the Beatles could play Shea Stadium, and well, they didn't sound great. That's maybe not a great example, but like if all these bands could play back in the day and sound decent with no hearing, you know, were they just better performers, and could we just be performing at a higher level?
Sure. Yeah. Well, um, so you have those a show in Milwaukee November 5th, right? And one in Chicago November 8th.
Yes.
And then 2026 is when we're going to get a new album and more touring
That's
happening.
right.
That's right.
2026 is the year for Lunde, baby.
Oh man. I've kept you guys for a long time, but I guess last question I have for you is have what have you each been listening to, and and maybe more interestingly, what were you listening to while you were making this record that we're going to be getting next, and how's the sound a little different from what we already know from you?
Hard to remember what I was listening to it last year.
I think you weren't listening to music.
Yeah, I guess I go through long
Mm,
spouts of just like really unplugging from music and then kind of waiting until I am like champing at the bit to get back to it, and then I come back with a little more energy or excitement. Lately
sure.
I've been listening to the Turtles. That's like all I've been listening to. But I don't know.
Excellent.
It's just kind of like sometimes it's just listening to stuff you're really familiar with, and then sometimes you just let Discover Weekly kind of run the show for a bit, and that either works or it doesn't. But
True. Yeah, true. I've been
Yeah.
listening to country music lately. I've been listening to like 70s country, like Jerry Reed and Tom T. Hall. It's like old, like kind of AM country, which has been fun.
Nice.
But during the making of the record, I mean, I think we were kind of like influenced a little bit by the Lemon Twigs. They had some cool stuff that we both liked.
Mike Viola.
Mike Viola, oh God, yeah, he's great. Um, yeah, I'm a Mike Viola super fan, and
Nice.
yeah, just like 70s kind of radio
I think
music.
America was big for us at that time too, because
True.
we had just seen them and then got to
Cool.
interact with some of their gear, I guess.
So- well, I got to meet them. You didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we were helping them out moving some equipment from their show, and anyway, yeah, but they were a big
That's cool.
influence. They're very cool, and yeah, just like probably like late 70s stuff. I just was feeling at the time, so that's kind of like where the production where I was coming from, I guess. But yeah, we had two other guys too who
Excellent.
were playing on the project. Our friend Charlie from
Oh
this
yeah.
Canadian band called the Commune, and our guitar player, or sort of like live guitar player, Jeremy Peters from Milwaukee, and they were kind of like helping us put the sounds together too, and we were letting them kind of loose, do their thing on stuff, so that kind of shaped the sound a little bit too.
Cool. Yeah. So, more to come in the vein of like Sister Golden Hair. Uh I'm trying to think, like, Spotify keeps bringing Glenn Campbell up for me,
Yeah,
Mm.
which I don't know why,
good
but
stuff.
I'm fine with it. It's yeah, yeah. Um So anyway, that's awesome. If you've got more of that, kind of warm 70s country rock sound coming, can't wait.
Yeah, I mean,
And
for now, that's kind of the plan, I guess. The more we've become like an actual band, like we're playing together and
mhm.
recording together, the more the sound has become more rockin', I'd say overall. Slash like live and
Cool.
retro. Because yeah, it's easy to kind of like get real chill when you're like Waiting on the War was like we were all like in the vibe in the studio, but when we were recording this last record, we were just like we had all the guys there, we had our friends, extra friends there, so we were just like having fun and like ready to rock. And anytime we kind of get together and start playing, it always ends up being like we're playing loudly, sort of, because it's more fun.
Yeah, I think when we started, it was much more of like an indie, like bedroom rock sort of
Yeah, for
vibe, and
sure.
then I think at least for me, I got more comfortable with playing with other people because that's something I have never really done before. So just kind of figuring out how to move as a unit and try to like I don't know, let other people have their moments and I don't know, just figuring out how you fit into a system rather than like this is what we're gonna do. Let's just do it and then see what happens.
It's fun too that way. The thing kind of unfolds for itself,
Yeah.
you know. Um, the more experience we get, I think the easier things seem to come and kind of just like unravel themselves. So I guess we're just gonna try to
Mhm.
follow that thread and try not to work too hard at it.
Sure. Yeah. As you settle into what you're comfortable with and confident in, I think that's absolutely coming through in like the last album, and it's really exciting that you
Well,
guys say
thank you.
you're working on cranking them out faster
We're
now.
trying. We're trying. We'll see.
Awesome. Well, is like following you guys on Instagram the best way for people
Yeah,
to
I'd say
keep track
so.
of live shows coming up?
The official
Yeah. Is
Lunde.
it the official Lund? Everyone follow them there. And it was so much fun talking to you two. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah,
Thanks
thanks
so
for
much for
having
having
us.
us.